I want you all to keep watching KAFTAN TV.
Please keep watching KAFTAN TV. It is the best TV station in the country. They're doing an amazing job.
How are you, dear viewers at home? It's another opportunity to bring to you your favorite program, Development Pillars. And we thank you once again for the wonderful support we have been receiving from you. It shows that we all care about our country, Nigeria, and want to see the country move forward. Thank you for the way you have given us your support, particularly since we have been talking about the people pillar. You know, there are so many pillars of development, but the people, they matter. That's why they say democracy is government of the people, by the people, for the people. And again, also, development is for the people. Development is by the people. And it is the people that will enjoy development or suffer for lack of it. So that's why we have taken time to devote several episodes towards the people pillar. And you remember that last week we looked at the role of citizens in nation building. Very important role. And I remember our guest, Mr. Mike Atonda, you know, he told us a lot of things, and he said we should first of all start by asking ourselves a question. What kind of a country do I want to live in? And once I've defined the kind of country I want to live in, then I begin to walk towards, you know, building that country. I don't do the building alone. I must work with people of like minds to make it happen. So today, we will be concentrating still on the people pillar. And we want to look at how to raise nation builders so that we can be a country that experiences sustainable development like other countries that our people like to jackpot to. The jackpot syndrome is still on, and a lot of people really want to jackpot. And I felt very sad during the week because I stumbled across a production by one of the reputable musicians in Nigeria, where he was actually literally encouraging Nigerians to bolt away from their country. And I felt that was very low. I felt that is not good. I felt that such people should be actually ambassadors of Nigeria, ambassadors of hope, and ambassadors of change. People are supposed to be motivational agents, inspiring Nigerians to work together to build a good country. But he was advising people, and he was given the example of himself and his siblings and how they have already escaped from Nigeria, even though they make most of their income from this country. So what we should do as citizens who want to see development happen in our country is to look for people who are like us and then increase our rank. If we keep increasing our rank on a daily basis, look, for example, you saw the way Nigerians were excited about the 2023 elections, and they wanted to play part. So you can see a critical mass is already built. Imagine if we all jackpot away. You know, that movement that has started, that consciousness that has started will be depleted and will suffer, you know, setback. But if we continue to encourage ourselves and continue to work together, you know, talk together, plan together, you know, address the issues that made it difficult for us to have the critical mass of people who can be development agents, change masters, change champions, change directors, change instigators, we will be able to make progress if we are able to gather ourselves together and make this happen. So today we are looking at raising nation builders for sustainable development. How do we make this happen? How do we raise nation builders? You see, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, and before we get far on the program, I believe that our guests will join us, and then we'll be able to discuss together. But I just want us to know that if we don't build our house, nobody will build it for us. But if we want to build our house and we don't have the workmen who are experts in building, the bricklayers, the architects, the civil engineers, the electrical engineers, the tilers, the painters, if we have not trained them, the time we will need to use them to build our house, they will simply not be there. So that's why we are focusing today on how do we raise a crop of people who are nation builders, who are hungry to see a good nation emerge, and who are conscious leaders. Whatever position they find themselves, they know that they are agents of progress and sustainable development, and they make it happen for us all as a people. So there are three key actors in any society, any nation, any system that needs to be built. The first category are what I call nation builders, and I'm sure you have heard this concept before. Many people know what nation building is all about, but if you are interested in nation building and you lack nation builders, how do you do the building? So the first actors that any society must have, and I believe that you're actually the only actor, every single one of us, 213 million or 250 million or 300 million, whatever our population is, I believe that each and every one of us should be in the category of the nation builders. But unfortunately, everybody is not a nation builder. So we have two other categories that are very critical, and we see the effect of their work almost on a daily basis in our society. So the first category, as I've told you earlier, is nation builders. But we also have those who are called nation looters, nation suckers. They are the one that inject the system with viruses of corruption, particularly when they have the opportunity to occupy position of authority. They do not remember the consciousness that what the nation put them there to do is to build. So they come in as nation looters, and they use the opportunity either as ordinary councillor or local government chairman. They loot. Some loot the government, the nation, the local government, the state. They loot them blind. So we also have what we call the nation killers. And the nation killers category is the category of the people today that we call the bandits, the terrorists, the kidnappers. If you love your country, of all professions that are in the world, you will not choose to be a bandit. If you love your country and you want to join others to build, of all the professions that are in the world, you will not choose to be a terrorist. No matter whatever grudge you have against the system, no matter whatever disaffection you have against the system, you will not choose to be a terrorist. And those who are kidnapping people like them, human beings like them, kidnapping them and turning them to, objects that you buy and sell, that you argue over. I want to collect so amount of money. I want to collect so amount of money. If you do not pay up to this amount, I will not release. You are not a nation builder. This is nation killers. And what we do not understand is that if we are not nation builders, if we are nation looters, and you are a nation killer, you are like a man who took a keg of petrol, pour it around his compound, and then lit matches and threw it inside. Even if you are not inside the building, when you through the matches inside the building, or the match inside the building, and you are watching from outside, your house is burnt, is razed down, and you are homeless. Today, because of nation looters and nation killers, the image of Nigeria outside is not very good. You remember the other time, before the edition on the role of citizens in nation building, we looked at our national passport and the reason why we as Nigerians can only travel to 45 countries in the whole world, rich as we are, blessed as we are by God, but because of our attitude and character, that rather than build the image of our country, is destroying the image of the country. So people see us as poison as Nigerians. They want to avoid us. They don't want to touch us. They don't want to have anything to do with us. And tomorrow, a nation killer or a nation looter or even a nation builder may have a need to go abroad. And when you flash that passport, what people see is the negative things that they know already about your country. So the image, bad image we have built for Nigeria because of our not choosing to be nation builders, but rather doing things that portray us as nation looters or nation killers, go before us. And all other people that will come in contact with, when they see us, even before they wait to relate with us and find out who we are individually, they relate with us based on the image that they have formed. And the image they have formed was based on what they have heard about us. So we need to sit down, whatever category you belong to, whether nation looters or nation killers, and see that your activities and your actions is doing a lot of damage to this country. It's bringing a lot of pain to your fellow brothers and fellow sisters. It's bringing a lot of untold, problems for citizens in Nigeria. And we will need to work together to address this, because north or south, east or west, home is still the best. And this is the only home we have. And it's our duty to work together as nation builders, not nation looters or nation killers. Thank you very much. This is still Development Pillars. And you can see I'm very emotional today. We'll continue the program in a short while when we come back, because Nigeria is ours to build. Welcome back to Development Pillars Television on KAFTAN TV. My name is Olanrewaju Osho, and today we are still talking about raising nation builders for sustainable development. I did tell you earlier that my guest was already around, and please join me to welcome our guest for today, Olusegun Toluhi. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you so very much for having me. Appreciate you.
It's a pleasure having you here, and I feel that your antecedents as a Nigerian shows that you are an advocate of nation building. But when you want to build a nation and the raw materials to build a nation are not there, how do you do the work? So I was speaking earlier, explaining the three types of people that we have, actors we have in a society: nation builders, nation looters, who are also suckers. They suck life, suck energy, hope out of the country. And then nation killers and nation destroyers. And that is the category of the people that are doing banditry, kidnapping, terrorism. Sir, who is a nation builder?
Yeah, thank you so very much. Let me defy a little from your definition of the looters and the builders and the destroyers. I think a society is every leader emerges from the society. And when the people become ready, their leader automatically will emerge. We cannot now begin to look at people who are leading us in a time and begin to heap the blame of our woes on them. Because it's our communities, our society that actually threw them up. And I've always been a believer of the fact that if you really want to change a people, what we need to do when we really want to build is to begin to build from the ground up.
Ground up.
We cannot be looking at the up, because by the time you're getting there, we are already formed.
Like crayfish.
And whether we like it or not, it's going to be one of us that will be thrown up. Until we begin to build from the ground, begin to change the way we think, begin to change the way we process issues, begin to get into our body. And you can't process what you don't have. So where to start is a change. First, not even a change. We need to do an audit. We need to define our value as a people. And then every other thing we do will be such that it is keying into those values that we have defined for ourselves. So how do we build nation builders? Then we need to ask ourselves, who are we?
Who are we?
What do we want to achieve? How can we achieve those things? When we have all those things, every other thing we do will be keying into those things we have defined for ourselves. So yes, there are people today who are in places of authority, but you must understand too that they have a whole lot of issues that you don't know about. There are a lot of issues that they have to contend with. I'll give you an example. The moment you get to a point, maybe for any instance, today now all the boards have been how do they call it now? Dissolved, and
yes.
Boards now will now be reconstituted in Nigeria.
Yes.
The moment you're lucky and you happen to be on the board of any of these MDAs, the next thing is your village will call a civil community, a civil party, to tell you it is our time. And I always ask people, in Nigeria, when you get opportunity, is it to serve the people or to serve the nation?
The nation.
You might say that is tortuous, because in serving nation, you are serving, the people. But we need to begin to define it. Because in Nigeria, what we do is people see you as their own commodity because you are occupying an office.
Yes.
And they will come with all kinds of suggestions. So for you to operate and operate soundly, it must be so that the people that are coming to put pressure on you understand that you are no longer their people, but you are now the person,
servant of the nation. Absolutely. Okay, thank you very much. You heard. And it looks as if that we cannot really make progress without asking ourselves a question. Because what you said was exactly what our guest said last week, that you need to ask yourself a question. What kind of a country do I want to live in? That is, start from there. Sir, let me ask you, in addressing the issue of values, what are the values you want to itemize going forward as values that we must have as citizens who want to be nation builders, not nation looters, nation suckers, or nation destroyers?
Okay. That is a curriculum. What you've asked me is actually a curriculum, but I'll try to speak to it as best as I can.
Because we need to understand what
Summarily,
values us.
You see, we need to understand. You must understand who you are.
Yes.
Except you understand who you are not able to find expression. You can't know who you are except you meet with yourself. Nigeria, by some natural occurrences, there is a responsibility that is placed on Nigeria.
As a country, as a people.
As a country and as a people. You understand what I'm saying? Because this is the singular location, the biggest singular location of black people anywhere in the world. Now, if you know the kind of things, what's against the black people all over the world, you must now understand that we have no choice but to find a way of getting our acts right in Nigeria. The entire black race in the world is waiting for Nigeria to get it right. If nothing defines value for us, that should. We should get to the point where we say to ourselves, we want to begin to provide leadership for the black race. We want to give the black race a model to look at. And how do you do that? You really cannot change any system except you build a system that has more worth in it to make that system that is already existing look the fraud that it is.
That it is.
Right now we have a system on ground, and the system is saying that the Caucasian white is superior to the black race. You and I and students of history know that most of the things they bandy around today as their own invention were actually the invention of the black man.
From here.
Now, but the black man is not telling that story.
He doesn't even know his history anymore.
So the white man is telling his story. And if the white man is telling the story of the black man, he would tell it in such a way. Look, nobody tells a story to indict himself. When you tell a story, you tell that story in such a way that it makes you look good.
Good.
So when the white and the Caucasians telling the story, they tell the story in such a way that they look like a champion. It's about time we begin to tell our own story. And to be able to tell our own story, we must now begin to rejig the kind of education that we get. So it was Mensa Otabil, I think, a Ghanaian. Someone had followed for a while. He said something that's very profound in his work, the work By the Future. He said something, he said, if you want to change the culture of a people, you change what they dwell upon.
Education.
Now, dwelling means what they hear, what they see, and what they think consequently about. Because it is what they think about that they can now begin to crystallize and begin to look for solutions to. So value for us is first to meet with ourselves. We need to meet ourselves and define for ourselves as a black nation. How do we want to progress? How do we want to make progress? How do we want to be seen? So critically and summarily, we need to first find it somewhere, wherever it's going to be, how to give ourselves that dignity and then carry ourselves with that dignity. When we begin to do that and find a way of doing that, people will now begin to dignify us.
You see, Dr. Martin Luther King spoke about the fierce urgency of now. And when you are speaking to the fact that the dignity of the black race in the whole world rests on the shoulder of Nigeria as a country and Nigerians as a people, how do we raise a generation that really understand this?
Like I said, education. Education.
So
education.
We change our curriculum?
Our curriculum is ancient. Whichever way you want to look at it, it is totally ancient. You know why? Because they brought that curriculum initially so that we can understand them and understand the messages they give to us, and we can carry out those messages. That curriculum was not meant for us to be critical thinkers. You can't move forward until you begin to think critically. I had a professor, and one of the first things he said when we got to the first class and interaction with him, among them was, there are no foolish questions. There can only be stupid answers. The genius is not the man that have all the answers. The genius is the man who knows how to ask the probing questions. Because when you ask probing questions, you enrich people around you.
Yeah, you broaden
But
the
when
scope.
you answer questions, you deplete the repository that is already in you.
Yes.
So we need to understand that, look, what is the purpose of the curriculum that we are using now? Listen to me clearly, sir. Why do I need to know that a locust has an eye or a leg or a feather or something? What is it going to do?
What is it going to do for me?
What I need to know is how to prevent that locust from feeding on the leaves of my maize. What do I need to do to ensure that the locust does not come to my farm pace? But when you get to our classes of nature study and whatever today in schools, the first thing is they'll tell you, draw a fly, draw a locust, draw this. I don't need that. I'm an engineer. And I went to school. And in my school, they brought all kinds of series. Fourier series, Maclaurin series, Taylor series, M over BD squared, define this, design that. But ever since I came out, and they handed over to me as a pupil engineer several decades ago, my CP 110, that was what we were using, the Code of Practice 110, which was taken after the British standard. They were all defined in tables. So if I have a span that is that, all I need to look at the table and I know the kind of reinforcement that it's going to do. So why didn't you teach me that in school? Why didn't you teach me how to evaluate the loads that I'm going to be dealing with
You have to
out there
learn
on
it in the workplace.
Why didn't you show me what Y16 is like and Y12 is like? I didn't know until I got to site. Why didn't you show me the kind of tools I can use to make my job easier and become more productive? Why take me through all the pains of crunching those figures first level like they did to be able to get to the level that they are? So we need to define our curriculum, define what we need to move forward, going forward.
So we're looking at the Ministry of Education.
We're looking at every sector, sir.
Every sector.
Every sector.
I mean the drivers, those who will drive this revolution of how we think and the things we consume as education.
You are involved already. Because what you're doing now is creating the awareness. And if anybody is listening, they most probably will be looking and thinking again. Because the thing is, like Newton says in his law of motion, you see, every substance remains in that state of rest until a force is acted on it. The force you are acting now is the awareness you're bringing to the people. And I think maybe some policymaker will be somewhere listening to what we're saying, and they're looking at it and say, okay, look at this gentleman, what he said makes some sense. Maybe he really didn't crystallize it very well, but now let me crystallize it. And then he will take it forward. The issue I'm trying to raise here is the things that we do, we must begin to truly question them. We must begin to interrogate the extant rules and regulations and the customs that we have. Maybe in doing that, we might begin to find solutions.
When we bring this inquiry, beginning from ourselves, as individuals, and then as officers, whatever office we occupy, when we are deepening the system and enriching the atmosphere, the environment, to actually raise people who are more useful to nation building than enemies of nation building.
Absolutely.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we are very excited that you did this with us today. My guest couldn't say so much because of time, so I promise you I will bring him back another time. But in conclusion, no nation will ever build itself. Every nation needs the help of its citizens to be built.
Absolutely.
Nigeria needs your help to be built. Nigeria is crying, begging that you become a nation builder and get out of the rank of nation looters, nation suckers, nation killers, and nation destroyers. It does not profit us at all. And if we continue this way, we'll burn down the house and we'll all be collateral damage of the evil we have created. God bless Nigeria. See you next time. Have a nice day.